This is the best JDM car of all time. It crushed its competition on and off the track, and it introduced the legendary RB26 to the world. Remember at school there was always someone who was good looking, great at sports, aced every exam, and generally won everything they put their mind to? Well, if that annoying person was a car, and this was the early 90s, their nickname would be Godzilla. And the vehicle would be the R32 Nissan Skyline GT-R. Created with the mindset to best Porsche in its 959 supercar, and to obliterate the competition in Japan's Group A racing, the real precursor to the R35 GT-R of today did exactly that during the 1989 Japanese Touring Car Championship. Today on Overdrive, the R32 Skyline GT-R. Out of 29 races over 4 seasons, it won all 29, embarrassing cars like the BMW M3 in the process. What a nerd. This was the year the Game Boy arrived, and a gallon of gas was around $1.
It was also the year the R32 GT-R arrived as a largely unknown Japanese sports car in Australia, Hong Kong, Singapore, New Zealand, and later in the UK, but not North America.
As such, vehicles like the Skyline were typically off limits. And to remind you of this, the government would happily send cars to the big scrap heap in the sky for breaking the rules, and then make videos about it. And if one was found here in the US illegally, dreams were crushed. Yeah, that's not gonna buff out.
This mindless vandalism didn't stop the rest of the world from falling in love with the first in a series of highly capable sports cars from the land of the rising sun.
Despite the fact that this was a manufacturer typically associated with more humdrum cars, driven by people old enough to find strings on reading glasses acceptable.
We got Nissan cars and trucks, so don't be shy.
To truly understand the Skyline R32 GT-R story, we need to jump back to 1957. This was the year of the first ever use of the Skyline name, and it wasn't even a Nissan. Nope, that accolade goes to the Prince Motor Company, with only a puny 1.5-liter engine. These were humble beginnings.
It was only in 1966, the year the UK won its one and only World Cup, that the name Nissan Skyline became a thing once the two companies merged. And then, just 3 years later, we got the first GT-R, launching in 1969 as a pretty four-door sedan with 160 horsepower from a 4-valve double overhead camshaft engine, plus 4-wheel independent suspension.
Like the not yet born Skyline R32 GT-R, which was but a twinkle in Nissan's eye, it was a beast on track, winning 52 races in the first 3 years.
Following on from that was the C110 Skyline, otherwise known as the Kenmari.
Because of Ken and Mary in the original commercial, obviously.
そんな車、スカイライン。
This car also got a GT-R version, and then seemingly the badge disappeared, as if expelled from the school of Nissan for graffitiing the gym, or throwing pencils at the supply teacher. We wouldn't see GT-R again until 1989, which is when we return to the story of the $42,000-ish, or roughly $100,000 in today's money, R32 GT-R.
But not the weakling GXI version, which had a measly 91 brake horsepower 1.8 liter, nor the single-turbo 2-liter, 212 brake horsepower GTST we see a lot here in North America. I'm talking about the full-fat, all-singing, all-dancing R32 GT-R King of the Playground.
This was, after all, the car that debuted the legendary 2.6-liter RB26DETT inline 6. Cast in iron with an aluminum cylinder head, forged internals, 24 valves, 6 individual throttle bodies, and not 1, but 2 ceramic turbos.
Go check out the video we did on that engine, right up here.
A city-stomping engine capable of producing that famous Japanese gentleman's agreement of 276 brake horsepower.
Except That was a big fat lie. Like when you told your teacher Godzilla ate your homework, Nissan had deceived us. The R32 GT-R actually produced around 300 brake horsepower. Some estimates were as high as 316. No wonder then that the 0 to 60 miles an hour took a mere 5.6 seconds, and the top speed was an estimated 156. A cheeky 1 mile an hour above the Audi, BMW, and Mercedes-Benz gentleman agreement of 155 top speed for most of their cars.
To put that into perspective, this was the sort of performance that sent the E30 BMW M3 and the 930 Porsche 911s running home from school with tears rolling down their faces and all their lunch money missing.
I mean, 260 foot-pounds of torque at 4,400 RPM is not to be laughed at, even now.
That mighty Japanese lump, capable of an unusually high, for a turbo anyway, 8,000 RPM redline, was able to withstand mega horsepower. Some truly deranged, brave owners went well beyond 1,000 brake horsepower.
As with other Skylines, tuning was so easy and so effective that cars with stock outputs would become the most desirable among JDM enthusiasts, because most people slapped on giant turbos, from whichever tuner was the flavor of the month, and wrapped them around a lamppost.
This wasn't the only part of the R32 GT-R's legendary firepower that would earn it the nickname Godzilla, a Japanese monster in films of the same name and made from plasticine. Power from the RB26 was sent to a high-tech drivetrain with possibly the longest acronym ever.
A TESA ETS, short for Advanced Total Traction Engineering System for All-Terrain with Electronic Torque Split. Let me just get my breath back.
It's an all-wheel drive system capable of spending most of the time rear-wheel drive, but with the unusual ability, for the time, to send 50% to the front. This is where that computer on wheels cliche came from.
This not only made it an absolute weapon in the corners, but it meant there was a knack for how to drive it like a rental.
As Evo magazine said, there's plenty of grip and poise initially as you turn in, but as you push that bit harder and attack the remainder of the corner under power, you get a strange crabbing sensation as the R32 slides its tail enough to require corrective look, yet also pulls from the front. It's totally unlike any other car, and something that makes you catch your breath the first few times it happens.
Not only did the GT-R pull from the front, it could steer from the rear. Kind of. HICAS, short for High Capacity Active Controlled Suspension, if you weren't already bored of acronyms, could turn the rear wheels in the same or opposite direction to the front wheels. Why? To aid stability and low-speed maneuverability.
This feature was inherited from the R31 Skyline, although back then, HICAS, which launched before the Honda Prelude alternative, only offered plus or minus half a degree of rear semi-trailing arm steering, for a total of 1 degree, if you skipped math class.
Nissan bestowed upon the R32 GT-R an equally sophisticated multi-link suspension system, first seen on the 300ZX.
The new 300ZX snap you from 0 to awesome.
With a lateral link, diagonal upper control link, and trailing arms, all ensuring it didn't handle like a shopping cart filled with bricks. It was actually pretty comfortable and looked distinctive. I mean, those circular round headlights alone would go on to ingrain themselves into the hearts and minds of so many car enthusiasts.
Crushing the competition under its 3,150-pound curb weight wasn't the only thing that earned it a scholarship at the obviously legitimate and completely not made-up University of Awesome.
The R32 GT-R became an instant favorite for a generation after appearing in the first, and best, don't at me, Gran Turismo on the original PlayStation. Those were the days. In fact, it was in every Gran Turismo game except for Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec and Gran Turismo Sport for reasons Google didn't want to make immediately clear.
Including the latest and 7th outing on PlayStation 5. And that makes sense when you realize GT-R stands for Gran Turismo Racing.
Mind blown.
Numerous versions of the R32 GT-R were made over its lifetime. To homologate for Group A, 500 units of the R32 GT-R Nismo were launched to the public in 1990 at a considerable premium over the original, while a further 60 were turned by Nissan itself into racing thoroughbreds.
This version saw some things removed, such as ABS and the rear wiper blade. A few things tweaked, such as the aerodynamics, tires, and wheels, and some things added, like 2 larger Garrett TO4B turbochargers, an upgrade to the standard TO3S.
Anyone buying this particular Nismo edition could choose any color, as long as it was gun gray metallic, seeing as it was the only paintwork color optioned.
The follow-up in 1991 was the GT-R N1, which was even lighter than the Nismo because Nissan expelled the air conditioning, sound system, and some of the carpet. You might also notice those lightweight headlights, also added to the N1, and the one and only crystal white paint job, applied thinly to save even more weight. Yeah, thinly applied paint.
This was not the end of the R32 GT-R's rarer versions. Celebrating Group A and Group N success, Nissan took a leaf out of Winston Churchill's Book of Hand Signs with its V for Victory V-Spec model.
It got larger alloy wheels, adjustments to the Atessa system, Nismo aesthetic revisions, and Brembo brakes, among other things, because apparently discs nearly as long as a ruler at the front weren't nearly enough.
Determined to milk even more from the R32 GT-R's lucrative udders, Nissan made the cunningly named V-Spec 2. It was fitted with wider tires,
And, well, nothing else. I guess the marketing team was running out of ideas at this point, or had been denied access to the canteen. Anyway, a total of 2,702 V-Spec 1 and V-Spec 2 cars rolled off the production line, a fraction of the 43,937 R32 GT-Rs built between 1989 and 1984. It's no wonder then that these rarer versions fetch the biggest sums at auction. Although you can still have a lot of fun in the standard car, and prices are creeping up. Partly thanks to the fact that as of August 2014, it was okay to import one here in North America. All thanks to that 25-year law. Sometimes we really do get to meet our heroes. Want something ultra rare and owned by the likes of the Sultan of Brunei? Say hello to the 1993 HKS-0R. Either 10 or 4 were built depending on who you ask. Basically, HKS changed nearly everything to make the R32 GT-R better.
a process that meant each HKS-0R would cost well over $100,000 in the 90s. And so the project was canned for several years before in the mid-2000s, HKS decided to have another go. Given such a rich and lucrative history, you totally understand if the R32 GT-R had gone into early retirement on a small tropical island to rust in peace alongside its gazillion trophies.
But no, it just had to upset the Nürburgring Nordschleife production record previously held by the Porsche 944.
8:22:38 was the time it set with Motoharu Kurosawa at the wheel, bettering the German effort by 23 seconds. Quite a long time, even for a circuit as long as the Green Hell.
Okay, so the R35 GT-R Nismo needed just 7 minutes and 8 seconds to do a similar thing. But back then, this time was bafflingly quick.
Eventually, it would be the R33's successor, precursor to the car Paul Walker immortalized in the Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, that ended the R32 GT-R's career. Though not before Japan Group N Endurance and Spa-Francorchamps 24-hour racing success.
It even won the final Group A championship race in 1993, the year before it was replaced by Super Touring Car across the world, and showed the competition how it's done in the Australian Touring Car Championship in 1991, 1992, and also at the Bathurst 1000.
Knowing all that, it's clear the R32 can attribute much of its success to engineering brilliance, effort, and stereotypical Japanese technical know-how. A four-wheel metaphor then, for why working hard at school and not skipping class to go smoke isn't such a bad idea after all. Well, maybe the odd listen is okay.
This is Trav, and this is Ideal Media. Subscribe and like for more automotive content, or not, free will and all that. Let me know if you have any R32 GT-R memories. I'd love to hear them. If you liked this video, you're gonna love our OVERDRIVE starter pack right over here. Or go check out whatever YouTube recommends you watch next right down here. Thanks for watching, people. We'll see you all next time.